What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Ogre Boy and I'm going to be doing my review for the new movie, Snow White. So in this movie, a princess joins forces with 7 dwarfs to liberate her kingdom from her cruel stepmother, the evil queen. So I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie. I had gone in with lowered expectations because some of the recent remakes haven't really impressed me and stuff as much, and because the trailers just did not sell me on this movie. It looked pretty awful and everything. But I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed this one. The story is pretty good here. I actually like that they give Snow White more of a backstory. We get to learn more about her history, her parents, and all that. It's something that was different from the original movie that I really liked. And everything. That was one thing I've always complained about on the original movie, is that we don't really know much about Snow White except that she wants her prince to come save her and everything. She doesn't have as much of a personality in the original cartoon like she does in this one and everything, and I like that about this movie. I think they did a good job with what they were trying for and everything, and it adds more layers to the story and everything, and makes you want to root for Snow White even more and everything, because she is such a lovable character, and Rachel Zegler is absolutely amazing as Snow White. She was absolutely perfect in the role and everything. She was perfectly cast. Like I said she was going to be when I reviewed West Side Story back in 2021. I said she was going to be a perfect Snow White, and she absolutely was. She was absolutely amazing. Gal Gadot was campy and fun as the evil queen. She was a little bit over the top, but you could tell she was having a blast, and I think she gave one of the best performances as one of these villains and stuff. And I've always felt like the evil queen was one of my least favorite Disney villains and everything, but I think that Gal Gadot brought some fun and stuff to the character, and a character that I typically think is just kind of boring and stuff. I think she did a good job and everything. The dwarves and the thieves are also really likable characters too. I don't really have any complaints on their personalities and stuff. They got the dwarves down pretty good, and they got the thieves down pretty good. Although I will say that the dwarves each individually had their own moments to shine in the cartoon a little bit better and everything. But for what we got with this movie, they did a decent job. The songs are pretty good too. My favorite new song in the movie is the Princess Problems. That song is really catchy and fun and everything. And there's a few other good ones throughout the movie, but that one's my main favorite one out of the new songs. And then there's only 2 ones brought from the original in here. Hi Ho, which is done really well. They add some lyrics to it and everything to add more substance to the song and everything, and I think it works pretty good and everything. And then Whistle While You Work, they also changed the lyrics to that one a little bit too and everything. And usually when they change the lyrics to the Disney songs, I don't like it, but this movie, it worked and everything. I actually think I prefer the version of Whistle While You Work from this version than I do the cartoon. If you want me to be honest, it's a lot better, more catchy and everything, and it's just a more fun musical number in this movie than it was in the cartoon and everything. Yeah, I like that too. And I also like that the dwarves get in on the action in the Whistle While You Work song instead of it being her singing with the animals doing the dishes and all that. It would have been fun to watch that, but they were trying to keep it somewhat realistic. I will also say the CGI on the animals looks amazing and everything. This is what the CGI on The Lion King should have been like, because they have expressive faces and stuff while still looking like animals, and it shows that the technology has come a long way and everything. So if they were to remake Bambi into live action, they could make them more expressive and stuff, and I wouldn't be as against the way Bambi would look if they do it in the way the animals looked in this movie. The choreography is pretty good too. It's got some pretty good dance scenes throughout the movie and everything, with some of the musical numbers and everything. Not the best, like there's movies with way better cinematography and everything. Most recently Wicked, for example, but I will say the cinematography is pretty good in here. The CGI on the forest critters, like I said, is great, and I'm glad that they chose to leave out the song Someday My Prince Will Come. I've always never really liked that song. I always found it to just be really slow and boring, and it slowed down the original Snow White movie, so I'm glad they left that out. I was kind of sad that the silly song wasn't in here and everything, although there is a little nod to it, so I thought that was pretty cool As far as negatives go, the only big negative I have, and that it's to do with the controversies around this film, is Peter Dinklage had made some comments that made Disney not want to have the Seven Dwarfs in here, and they kind of added them in here with reshoots and stuff for and everything, and they were just made with CGI instead of using regular humans. I think that was a huge mistake. There was no reason not to use regular humans for the dwarves and everything. I think that was a huge stupid blunder on Disney and everything, so I will say that the CGI is pretty awful on them and everything. You know, like the critters, it looks fine on, but on them it does not look good. They kind of have that uncanny valley look to them and everything, but it didn't take too long to get used to, so it wasn't like too awful. Like, it didn't ruin the movie for me as bad as it does some people, but they do look pretty bad, and I have to acknowledge that. As far as Rachel Zegler's comments and stuff that she had made before this movie, I don't really care if she liked or didn't like the original movie. She has a right to her opinion and everything. I might not agree with what she said, but I don't let that take away from this movie, because this movie is still a pretty good and entertaining movie. As a longtime Disney fan, I feel like they did a good job with this movie and did a good job recapturing some of the magic of that original movie while also making something new. So all in all, I think this is a pretty decent movie. It's not a masterpiece by any means and everything, but it is a surprise for me. I was very surprised at how much I like this movie and everything, and it's one of the better live action remakes for me and everything. So I'm gonna go as far to say I give Snow White a 7.5 out of 10. It's not the best movie ever or anything like that, I'm not saying that, but it is still really good and everything. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of this movie, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.